while you guys are working on that, yeah, so I know it was kind of short notice, but I was talking to Larson the other day, and we're like, dude, we got to put something together on the VA stuff. So anyways, before we get into all that, I want to hope everybody had an awesome Thanksgiving. I'm hanging out down here in Charleston. You guys can check it. We got the Christmas tree up, and then I don't know if you guys can see, but we got the ocean out there and the beach and stuff. Went for a 3-mile walk on the beach today with my pup, just kind of hanging out, and got a closing going down today and 2 refinances tomorrow. So it's a little bit of a busy week, but I want to carve out some time, spend some time with you guys, and connect the week after Thanksgiving. I've been doing a lot of goal setting type stuff, and one of the things that we're really working on implementing is automations, and just kind of, there's so much that's happened with the whole COVID, where everybody's used to working remotely, everybody's used to doing more Zoom and virtual type stuff, that I think we could reduce our overhead pretty significantly by going more into virtual assistants and that kind of stuff. So I was talking to Matt Larson, good buddy of mine. I've known Matt for about 2 years now, and been out to his office in Iowa, like insane office. Like you walk through, he's got this warehouse, it's all organized. He's got his own SKU system for everything. Like from when it comes to systems and processes and organization and all those kinds of things, like this guy has it totally dialed in. And so spent some time out of his office kind of learning on that side of things. He's come out to Commercial Empire, and we've become good buddies. We're in a couple masterminds together, and even went out on a yacht. It was me, him, who else? Fadi and Austin Rutherford and Mark Evans were all on a yacht actually a year ago this month, and hanging out and just kind of talking about business, talking about lifestyle, seeing all these yachts that were bigger than the one that we were on, thinking like, what do these people do? I'm thinking high level stuff. But what was really, really remarkable about that whole thing is like Larson didn't take a phone call, right? Like the entire time he's on this yacht, we were there for 4 or 5 days, and we're hanging out. Our spouses were there, and we're having drinks and having food and stopping at all these different islands and hopping around. And he's not taking a single phone call. The guy's flipping 350 houses a year. He's got a management company with over 1,000 single family doors, operating at 99% occupancy and collections rate. And he's got this big education business that he was in the process of launching about a year ago. And so that's been, I think he's done 7 figures in it so far this year, or pretty close to it. So he's got all these different things going on. The guy's not picking up his phone call or picking up his phone. He's not answering any emails. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, who do you have in place? Like, dude, I got these VAs and I do this. And I'm like, man, you got to like create a course on it or teach people about how to do this stuff. So anyways, while we've been kind of making this transition, I've been leading on Matt a lot to give us some pointers and direction on some things that we could do. And he agreed to come out and try to just convey some value to you guys. So he is an absolute ninja at this stuff. And if you guys have any questions, essentially what we're going to do is let him kind of take the reins here over the course of the next 45 minutes to an hour. And then we'll open up for some Q&A at the end. So any questions you have, I'll kind of read them off at the end, but just kind of post them in there. And that way they can kind of accumulate, and then we'll do like some rapid fire at the end. And other than that, man, like Larson, anything else to add?
Can you hear me okay, Tim?
I can't hear you, dude.
You can't hear me.
You
okay.
Yourself?
Hang on one second. We're gonna grab some headphones. I'm showing on my computer that the audio is working perfectly, but hang on.
They can't hear you.
Huh? Can they hear me?
I can't hear you.
But they can't hear me.
Hang on a second. Let me see. It's probably my own stuff.
I'm showing on my computer that the audio is good.
You guys, this is why we do real estate and not techie crap. Audio.
Hang on, he might be able to hear me, or Tim's just seeing if it's his thing.
Tim can hear you?
No, everybody else can hear me. Tim can't hear me.
Oh. Here's what we're gonna do, Larson. I'm gonna hand it over to you, brother, and then I'm gonna figure out my own audio, but you can take it and run with it. I'm gonna make you the presenter so that way you can quarterback this whole thing.
Okay, all right.
And then you take it away, my man.
All right, let's do it.
Hand it over to you. Make organizer, make presenter. Yes. Tell me you're good.
I think we're good. We good, Ty?
Mm-hmm.
All right, hang on one time. Okay, so I think we've got that, and all right. So I can't see anybody now.
Yeah.
I can't see. Can everybody hear me? Tim is. I can't see anybody. I'm just staring at my screen, but I think everybody can hear me, right?
They can't talk.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get started. First thing I wanted to say is, first of all, Tim, thanks. It's an honor to be on with you, dude. I just met you, a couple years ago. And it's been a real honor to know you. What you've accomplished. I mean, I don't know if I'm sure your audience realizes this, but I'm just going to say it because I know it's true. In 20 years, they're going to be writing books about Tim Bratz. The dude is an amazing guy. It's an honor for me to be here. So when he asked me to jump on, I was thrilled. So I'm really, really excited, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and jump into this. Tim, thanks for the great intro there. Sometimes I feel like I'm just this kid from a small town in Illinois. So I'm gonna get started here. See if I can get this to work. Okay, so guys, just like Tim said, we're gonna be talking about virtual assistants. I've done some amazing things with virtual assistants out of necessity over the years. I'm gonna share what I know. Okay, some of the stuff you're gonna be learning today is how to find virtual assistants, how to turn them into robotic production machines, the exact tasks you should give them, and why human automation is the future of all business. Okay, but first, just a little bit more about me. Tim blew me up and gave me a great intro there, but just a little bit more about me. I grew up in a small town in Illinois, about 3,700 people. By the way, if you guys can see me, my background's not a super professional background or anything. I'm sitting at my lake house. I just closed it a week ago, and so I'm hanging out here. I never go to the office. It's very, very rare. I'm there maybe once every few months. So I'm just sitting in my lake house, trying to share some knowledge with you guys. So, in case you guys thought, maybe I grew up rich, that's absolutely not the truth. My parents never made over $25,000 a year combined. Both of them never made over $25,000 a year as I was growing up. I was a machine shop worker after high school. I tried to give college a try, and after one semester, they asked me not to come back. So I ended up coming back home after that one semester. My dad made me go get a job, and the only place that was hiring was a machine shop. So I did that at 19 years old, all the way till about 30 years old. Don't have a college degree, never got good grades, just not a student type in school type work. I'd never bought a house when I got into real estate. I had never even bought one for myself, and my parents had never bought a house either. So I didn't have any experience going into this thing. And then why did I get into? Most people, like I see all these young guys. I'm so jealous of all you young people out there that decide to get into business and start a business at such a young age. I'm not saying I was old at 30 years old when I started real estate, but I definitely didn't start when I was, super, super young. And so people always ask me, how the heck did you get into real estate? And I always tell them a girl made me do it. What happened was I started dating this girl at 26 years old, and I was working at a machine shop at the time. She had a very high master's degree. She was in the medical profession. She made a lot of money. Her parents were super wealthy. Don't know how I pulled it off, but I started dating this girl at 26 years old, and felt deeply in love, head over heels in love. And we're dating for 4 years. And after 4 years, when I was 30 years old, she came up to me one day and just said, "Hey, I want to break up." And I was in shock. I was totally in love. And I asked why. And she said, I want to date somebody with status. I want to date somebody that makes money. And at that point in my life, I'd never thought about making money. And that's what sparked my curiosity on how do I make money? I don't know how to make money. My dad always said, if you want to make more money, work more hours. So I didn't really understand. And that's how I jumped into it at 30 years old. So we'll keep going here. So what have I accomplished? Well, I've done over 4,000 real estate deals. It's probably closer to 5 now. It's hard to keep track. In 2013 alone, I did a little over 1,000 deals by itself. I own an 18,000 square foot, what I call mini Lowe's, where I buy materials up to 80% off. Tim flew in a private jet with a few other people, Mark Evans, and saw my operation about a year and a half ago. And I did all this because of the volume I was turning. I wanted a way to buy materials. I felt like something was wrong when I would go to Lowe's and pay the same price basically as everybody else. So I started my own warehouse 3 years ago. You know, it easily saved me over $10,000 a week out of the gate, and now it's probably much, much higher than that. So I own over a couple hundred rental properties. Used to be well more than that. It used to be about 450, but a couple years ago I decided to sell 250 houses out of my portfolio. I thought it was the top of the market. Timed it wrong a little bit, but that's okay. Still made a lot of money. I have 13 full-time virtual assistants on my staff right now. Okay. I flip over 200 houses a year and have for over a decade. You know, there's a lot of people making a lot of money right now in real estate, and a lot of, you know, quote unquote gurus. And the reality is I've been in real estate over, you know, 15 years, over 15 years. I've seen the cycles, you know, I've weathered the storms. And so I've got a pretty good track record for flipping a lot of houses. You might recognize these guys in the picture here with me. The guy in the middle, his name's Tony Robbins. That picture, that room that we're in right there, that was the hotel room that I actually trained Tony Robbins for 3 days, not the other way around. I coached Tony Robbins on how to do single family homes. And Tony's one of those guys, he has access to anybody in the world. He wanted to learn single family homes because his critics were giving him a hard time and saying, Tony, you know, all these people get all jazzed up and come to your events, and they get all motivated and they leave and they don't have anything to apply it to. So Tony was on a mission. He decided real estate was probably the best thing he could teach his students. And so he wanted to learn single family home real estate. And, you know, he started making calls. One person led to another, to another, to another, to another. Eventually, the guy on the left there, Dean Graziosi, got the call. And at that time, I had been creating Dean's real estate education for 8 years. I got paid a royalty. Anything, if you bought anything from Dean Graziosi through about an 8-year period, I created it. And so Dean would have me create the real estate education, then he would pay me a royalty. So when Dean got the call, he's like, Matt, you're the guy that does real estate. You got to go teach Tony Robbins. So it was an amazing experience to be able to have that on your resume, but it was funny. Tony is an amazing dude with the greatest memory I've ever seen anybody on the face of earth have. So it's pretty cool. So disclaimer, let's jump into this. So disclaimer, I didn't automate my business overnight, okay? It took 60 days of hardcore implementation of exact systems with the right virtual methods to get where I'm at right now, okay? But what if you implement what I show you and you make more money with less hours in the next 12 months than you have any previous year? How cool would that be? Okay, let's go through some myths here. So human automation, myth number 1, low paid virtual assistants aren't smart enough to complete real estate tasks. Now I actually have to laugh at this one, but here's the reality is that's a myth out there. A good friend of mine, the very good friend, does a lot of real estate deals. He always hears me talk about virtual assistants. He's doing a ton of deals. One day he calls me on a Saturday morning, probably about 3-4 months ago, and he goes, Matt, I just got to ask you, you know, this virtual assistant stuff you're talking about, that's not really, you don't really actually do that, right? You don't actually have virtual assistants, you know, working in your business. That's a promotion thing, right? I'm like, are you kidding me? First of all, I've never promoted anything that isn't something I'm doing. But other than that, virtual assistants are a key piece of my business. And he thought, his opinion was they just weren't smart enough to complete real estate tasks. So that's a myth. And I'm going to dispel that myth during this training. Myth number 2 is virtual assistants aren't good enough on the phone because they don't speak good English. Also false. We use a lot of virtual assistants from the Philippines. If you test right, if you screen right, and give them English tests and stuff, you can find some amazing English speakers. Some people you would not know that they're not from America. Their English is that good. Okay. Now, I'm not saying every virtual assistant has great English. You have to screen right. You have to find the right ones. And myth number 3, you can't afford virtual assistants, especially if you're brand new. We're going to blast that one too. Virtual assistants are really inexpensive. We're going to show you why. So let's go back 12 years to 2008. I read this book and my world was opened up. Okay, a lot of you probably have read this book. If you haven't read this book, whatever you do after this webinar, order this book and get this book. It's an amazing book. So the 4-Hour Work Week, it changed my world. I read this book, and although I enjoyed the whole book, one thing really stopped me in my tracks. I had never heard of the concept of virtual assistants. Again, this is back in 2008. I had been in real estate maybe 2 to 3 years at that point, but I read this about virtual assistants. I'm like, this is the answer. This is the key. I didn't have any employees at that point in time, but I thought this is what I need to help scale my business. So I went right out and I hired my first virtual assistant. So not only was I pumped, I realized I'm about to get rich. I couldn't believe the opportunity here. But then I hired my first virtual assistant and it didn't work. So first of all, the process of navigating the website to hire them was very difficult. The interview process was confusing. I didn't know if the person I was picking was any good, and I didn't even know how to train the person that I hired. It ended up being a disaster. It took more time trying to tell them what I wanted them to do than it was worth. And the content I got back was terrible, and it wasn't what I wanted. It was a total waste of time and money. So I scrapped the whole idea, this whole virtual assistant idea. I just scrapped it, and I thought to myself, this is just another, gimmick that you read in a book that, that the author wants to sell 1 million copies and comes up with an idea that's going to sell a whole bunch of copies. But I thought it was a gimmick, and I didn't think it would work. So I forgot about the whole virtual assistant thing for the next 7 years. So then 2015 came along, and I decided to give the VA idea another try because I was very frustrated with how we were listing houses for rent on Craigslist. Now, if any of you guys, Craigslist is a great tool to list rental properties. It's become less and less popular over the years, but 5 years ago, it was still the main way. We were still renting most of our properties with Craigslist than any other method at that point. So I knew if we didn't list houses on Craigslist for rent, the phone wouldn't ring, okay? And I was frustrated because they weren't getting listed. I had 2 $15 an hour employees listing their houses for rent. Now, keep in mind, I do a lot of volume, and we list every single property at least 2 times a day. Okay, I got this whole Craigslist process that we use to list houses multiple times a day because it's kind of like Google, right? When you Google something, you find what you need on the first page and you don't go to the second, third, fourth, fifth page. Same way with potential residents or tenants. You want to try to get on the front page always, push everybody else out of the way, and get all the leads. So we would list houses multiple times. And I know some of you guys are thinking, Matt, that's impossible. I know the Craigslist rules. You can only list a house, you can only have one listing every 3 days. We figured out all the, we write computer code and we figured out a way around all that stuff. So we can list multiple properties multiple times a day and not get flagged and deleted. So I had these 2 $15 an hour employees listing houses for rent, and they were very inconsistent. If they got busy with something else in their day, this just didn't get done. And I was very frustrated. This is back when I used to go to the office, and I would be at the office, the phone would be ringing, I'd be losing my mind, because just as Tim has taught all you guys, occupancy is job number 1. Okay, so what I did was I built a step-by-step process on how to list properties on Craigslist, and I did that one time. So what I had learned over the years, what I had figured out when I first tried 7 years prior to this, when I tried hiring my first virtual assistant, I didn't have a process. I'm just trying to tell them what to do, and I didn't have anything written, and there wasn't anything to follow, and that's why it failed. So I wrote this step-by-step process on how to list properties on Craigslist. I found and hired another VA. I handed off my instructions, and it crushed. I just got a $2 an hour virtual assistant to do the work of 2 $15 an hour American workers in my office. Yes, I got one virtual assistant that did the work of two $15 an hour workers. That's how much more productive they were. Let's talk about what this accomplished. So what are the benefits of this virtual assistants and human automation? So by me replacing these 2 employees, I saved myself over $1,000 a week in payroll plus benefits. I created a bulletproof, predictable robotic process. No more inconsistencies. No more being at the office and the phone wasn't ringing. No more sitting around wondering if the houses were listed on Craigslist. They were just always done. I never worried about it again. Less office drama. Okay, I'm not like I'm real big. I hate drama in general. I absolutely despise, drama. And the more employees it seems like you have in an office, the more opportunity for drama to arise. You also get a little bit of employee collusion sometimes. A couple of years ago, I had one employee leave because we hired somebody they didn't like, and they were friends with 3 or 4 other people, and 3 or 4 people left my company all at the same time. That doesn't happen with virtual assistants, okay? VAs automatically social distance by default. They work from home. There's no pandemic interruptions, okay? You can fire a VA anytime with no risk, okay? They're not an employee. They're a subcontractor from another country. So you're not following the regular employee rules. So and any of you guys that's ever let an employee go, there's always a risk of a lawsuit. It doesn't even matter if you've done everything right, you followed every rule. That doesn't mean you let an employee go. They could turn around and sue you, and then it's your job to hire an attorney to fight it. So less office space needed. Okay, again, you're lowering overhead. They work from home. They have their own computer. They pay for their own internet. Okay, you don't have to pay for office space. And they don't use discretion. Okay, if you don't write anything else down during this training, write this down. Discretion is the enemy of duplication. Okay, virtual assistants really they're not wired, especially the ones from the Philippines, they're not wired to make their own decisions, okay? And that can that's why a lot of people fail with virtual assistants. They think they're just going to hire a virtual assistant and they'll figure out the process. You don't want that. You want a detailed process created, handed off to a virtual assistant. They don't use discretion. They just follow the process. On the flip side, if you have an American worker, a lot of times, I'll hand them a perfect step-by-step process, and they're like, you know what, I've got a better idea than what Matt came up with. I'm going to try this, and then it fails. So I like the fact that they don't use discretion. And then speed. These people are unbelievably fast. I don't know, I don't know if it's just being in their house and they can work, without distractions or whatever it is, but they work really fast, and they typically outperform my American employees. So quick note, just in case you think I'm a cheapskate when you saw the $2 an hour thing, the average wage in the Philippines is $200 to $400 per month. And I pay VAs between $3 and $10 an hour. So that same VA that I hired in 2015, still with me, still crushes it, still amazing. She now makes $10 an hour, which $10 an hour, she is rich in the Philippines, okay? The cost of living in the Philippines is very cheap. It's 1/8 the cost of living in the US. A loaf of bread's $1, and a 3-course restaurant dinner $6. So that's the arbitrage there. You're getting college educated in many cases. You're getting college educated virtual assistants, but their cost of living is so much low they can work a lot cheaper. Okay. Let's talk about the old way versus the new way. So the old way, getting work done, you do it yourself, you work more hours, maybe even nights and weekends. I hope that the biggest thing that you guys get from this training is to stop working so hard, okay? Stop working so hard. Hand off the new way, hand off all redundant tasks to a VA, okay? Enjoy free time, enjoy life. Like I said, I'm sitting at my lake house. I'll probably take a walk down to the dock today. I just kind of do whatever I want. I never go to the office. I wake up when I want, and I work when I want. When Tim said we were on a yacht a year ago for a week and I didn't answer emails or texts, that's totally true. And the cool part is Tim did the same thing. He has a great system too. But you guys, get it out of your mind that you have to work really hard. Now, your company has to work hard. Your company has to get work done, but that doesn't mean you have to do it, okay? Hire a VA, hand it off. Okay, so hiring employees, the old way is hire American workers and pay a premium with less consistent work. Okay, I hate to say this, and I don't want to, guys, I'll just tell you, my team, my staff, the people in my office, my American workers are absolutely amazing. They're really hard workers. They're great people. I would not be where I am without them. But on average, when you hire an American worker, they're a lot more entitled than a lot of other workers around the country. Okay, and a lot of you business owners that are listening to me right now, you know that. Okay, so they typically expect more and they want to do less. Somebody from the Philippines trying to make their way and make their mark and impress you, it's a whole different deal. So the new way is you hand off a task to a VA with a robotic, predictable system, and you set it and forget it. Okay, and then the old way, how do you find the best virtual assistants? Well, you interview and you just use your best judgment. That's what I did in the beginning. In the new way, you follow an exact hiring process. Okay, you test VAs and you see the quality. Okay, so how do you find virtual assistants? Well, I'm going to teach you two places to start with. One is Fiverr.com. Now, a lot of you probably have been to this site before, but the question is, are you utilizing this site? Fiverr's great for one-off tasks. Okay, we use in my company, we use Fiverr. I let my own employees hire Fiverr virtual assistants to do their jobs. If we have a project hit our plate that's a one-time project and it's going to take 3, 4, 5 hours to do, and one of my employees comes to me and says, hey, I got to do this 5-hour project, and if that employee is making 20 to 25 bucks an hour, I can do the math real quick on what it's going to cost for them to do that project. Now, if they come to me and say, but I can find somebody on Fiverr to do it for 20 bucks, guess what? We're offloading it to Fiverr. I want them to work less and go work on something else that they can't outsource. So we use it a lot for one-off tasks, and it's amazing. Okay, but some of this, quick, easy stuff you can have them do. You could have them skip trace, pull cash buyers. You could have them create a website for you, do research, find motivated sellers, data entry, spreadsheets. Find vacant houses, marketing, email marketing, all this stuff. They can do all this stuff. Here's an example. If you haven't been to Fiverr, go check it out. You can find that search bar up front. Basically, type in about anything, and there's usually an expert that's offering that service. You'll see that top line that starts with graphic and design, all the different things that people from Fiverr can do. And let me tell you, a lot of them are amazing at it. Another just quick screenshot. See that? Notice that 92 ranking there on basically out of they had 92 people give them a 4.9 out of 5.0 stars. What's the chances that guy's really good at skip tracing? Okay, he said 92 people give him almost 5.0 stars. He's probably really good at it. So that's one of the cool things about Fiverr is when you hire an American worker to come in your office, they hand you a resume that's usually fabricated, and it's the best version of them that it could possibly be. Well, guess what? An American worker doesn't have all their former employees giving them a 1 through 5 star rating. But guess what? Fiverr does. Okay. Imagine if you could hire an American worker and they came with some 5-star review automatically. It just doesn't happen, but Fiverr does. So you can pick people at what they're amazing at. Here's another one. For finding cash buyers, he's got 4.9, 233 reviews. Okay, we've used this guy, I think. All right, so and one other thing too, going back, you notice that they call it Fiverr because when Fiverr first came out, everything was $5, but now it's a little bit more money. You can still find stuff for, you'll notice in this screen, there's $10 stuff. There's a $100 thing. There's $10, $35, $10. But you can still get stuff done for $5. You can kind of see in that right-hand corner there. But you can pay more and get premium services done as well. So just to review, so Fiverr, the reason I like it, they're easy to navigate. You can hire based on reviews. They're easy to pay. You pay with a credit card. You can find specialists for exactly what it is that you need. FYI, you guys, like Tim mentioned, I have a full education company and we sell a ton of ebooks, and all my ebooks, we created the content, we created the words, but we sent them to Fiverr to do all of the, make a fancy cover for them and format all the words and do all the spell check and do editing and stuff like that. They did every single one of my books has been sent through Fiverr. So they do an amazing job, and they want to do an amazing job because they get higher reviews and opportunities to make more money. Okay, so let's talk about Upwork. So Upwork.com is another place that you can find virtual assistants, okay? So I use Fiverr for one-off tasks. I use Upwork to hire part-time and full-time virtual assistants that are going to be doing repeated tasks every week, okay? So you need to write out your, a job description of what you want and be very specific, okay? You need to decide what level of expertise you want to pay for. Now, I prefer the $3 to $6 range. You can hire virtual assistants for a couple dollars an hour, but I found that the sweet spot is that $3 to $6 an hour range. And it seems like you just get the next step up on their technical skill. So you receive applications to screen, and then you can call or email them to interview them, and make sure you follow a detailed process. Okay, I'm real big on hiring. I have a hiring system. I don't just guess it. I don't use gut instinct. I have a hiring system that we follow, and it works. It works very well. So some of the benefits of Upwork.com: you get full-time or part-time VAs. They're great. It's a great talent pool, great for long-term commitments, easy to navigate. Their site's easy to navigate, and you can train a VA to do anything. Okay, we've had great success with Upwork. And just so you guys know, I actually I have so many VAs working for me that I realized I needed a VA to run all my VAs. And so we actually don't use Upwork anymore. If I was starting fresh, that's where I would go. But now I have a VA that lives in the Philippines. That's my human resources, and she sources all of our virtual assistants now direct. And she actually also kind of just keeps everybody moving and make sure they're online, gives added training, all that good stuff. So how do you train a VA? How do you train a VA? You must be very specific with your step-by-step process, okay? I can't dial in the importance of this enough. You have to be very specific. And I mean, when I say be very specific, you cannot miss a beat, okay? The VAs are only gonna do what you tell them to do. Consider it like writing computer code, okay? I'm sitting here on a really expensive MacBook Pro computer, and this computer is amazing. It can do anything. It's the best of the best you can get. And imagine this. Imagine I went to Apple and I bought a brand new MacBook Pro. It's got the best of the best speed. The computing power is the best in the world. And I take that laptop and I hand it to a computer programmer. And I say, hey, write code, go write some computer code to do X job. Let's say they take that computer, brand new, best of the best, write computer code, but they don't really know computer code that well. And they write this code and they get done with it. They come back and they say, Matt, I got your code all written. It's ready to go. I said, okay, let's test it. Hit enter. They hit enter. The computer crashes. The program doesn't work. And I look at them and I say, okay, what went wrong here? Do you think the computer messed up, or do you think your code was bad? And the answer is the code was bad. Now, I want to give you guys an analogy that when you give a task to a VA, if you give them bad code, if you give them bad step-by-step processes, in other words, it's not their fault when it fails. It's your fault. Okay, so in this analogy, the computer is the VA and you are the programmer. So if you don't write a perfect step-by-step process, that VA is going to fail. And don't be mad at the VA, be mad at yourself. Okay, you messed up. So the result is only as good as your process. And it may take a couple of tries before you get it right. I mean, when I going back to the beginning, the first time I tried to, give a virtual assistant my step-by-step process with listing houses on Craigslist, for example, I had to add a few things. I had to go back and do a few things. Okay, sometimes it takes a couple of tries. Now, one website we use for tracking all of our processes is sweetprocess.com. And I use that. Everybody in my company uses it. Everybody in the company has to build their own processes for their job. It's a great way to store and build amazing processes. Here's an example of a well-written process. You got to have step-by-step. You want to have, orders to follow. I like using screenshots because it paints a good picture. and it helps everybody understand what to do. So we train our VAs with step-by-step processes, okay, just like you saw on the last slide. Now, I like written processes best, okay? They're easy to edit, but they take a little longer to create. But I also like video processes. They allow you to capture a lot of info quickly, but when edits are needed, you have to edit the entire video. So I actually do both, everybody. I do, in my company, when we create a process, we create a written process, and we also create a video process. So one shortcut way you guys can do if you hire a virtual assistant is simply just record a video. You can use QuickTime Player, you could use screencast-o-matic.com, and just create, literally, it captures the screen of your computer, and as you're talking, it captures your voice, and it captures where you're at on whatever website and where that mouse goes. So it's a great way to do a very quick video process. But just remember, if that website changes, let's say in a year, like take Zillow, for example, Zillow changes, it seems like every 6 months they're changing something. And now that process and video that you created using Zillow, for example, would probably mess up a virtual assistant and need to be redone. That's why we like written processes as well, easy to edit. So what to look for in a great virtual assistant? I like high sense of urgency, okay? You want to have somebody that's deadline motivated, okay? I also like accurate and detail-oriented virtual assistants, people that pay attention to the details. When I hand them a project, I want it to be done right. If they're using a phone, they have to have great English, okay? We use English tests that you can give virtual assistants that actually grade their English automatically. So when they turn in an English test, we can see what their score is on English, and it's a very quick way to glance and see how well their English is doing. Must work on the hours you choose and be on time every day. So remember, virtual assistants from the Philippines are on the other side of the world. So them working third shift is actually first shift our time. So you got to make sure that they're okay with working third shift their time, and if that's what's needed. If it doesn't matter what hours they work, then it doesn't matter to you guys. You got to be. They must be very polite, which the Philippines virtual assistants, that's just their nature. They're very polite. They use a lot of courtesy when they talk. Even when they're frustrated, they're super polite. But you want them to be polite to your customers and your staff, and they must be responsible, efficient, and always productive. We make every one of our VAs give us an end of day report on everything they did for the day. Okay, so what are the requirements? Well, we want them to make sure that they have high-speed internet at their house, and we want them to have at least 15 megabits per second or higher. Okay. We want to make sure that both you and the VA need high quality, computer equipment. We want to make sure that they're not, running really slow because their laptop's 15 years old. And it's ideal if your VA has a smartphone. It's not crucial, but it is ideal. And you want to make sure that your VA is working in an uninterrupted work environment. Okay, they're at their house. If they got a whole bunch of kids and they're in the background making loud noises or distractions, then that won't work. So let's talk about some things that you must have a VA do for you. Okay, here's a couple pages out of one of my books called Virtually Unemployed. This isn't my 2.0. This is my 1.0. But here's some of the things that these are all processes. So when I decided that, what happened to me when I started about a year ago, I created my own education. And the reason why was just basically out of boredom. I had made my company so efficient that it could work without me, and I didn't have a lot to do. So when I created my first product, I wasn't going to be one of these guys that created education based on, hey, let me go think of something to write about. I simply took the processes we had already built in our company, in my company, that we were using every day, and I compiled them into a book. Okay, so these are some of the chapters. These are all processes. These are step-by-step processes that any VA can follow. So you could kind of look through there and some of the stuff that we're doing. I'll show you my my 2.0 here in a minute. Here's some more stuff. Different things that we have virtual assistants do. We can take any one of these chapters, push it to a brand new virtual assistant, have them follow the step-by-step process, and they're trained extremely fast. Okay. So now that you know the power of VAs, who wants to enjoy the following? Less time working. I can't emphasize this enough, you guys. Life's short. You know, I'm 45. I got about 10 years on Tim. And I never really thought about how much time was left in my life until I hit about 40. I'm not saying 40 is old. You know, my parents, you know, they're both older and they've lived a long time. They've got great health. And if my genetics follow suit, I might live to be, you know, who knows, 90, 100 years old. But I want to enjoy the time I have because none of us really know when is our last day. Okay. Spending time with family is a must. One thing I will say about Tim, you know, there's been many times I've been on the phone with Tim and he's walking in the door and I hear his kids screaming. They're excited to see him. And I'm like, Tim, that's my cue. I'm off the phone. I'll see you later, bud. I like that about him. He makes time for his family. More productivity. Okay. We got to do more. You want to make more money. You got to be more productive. You got to solve more problems. Okay. Less stress. I know so many business owners that are starting out. They're doing everything themselves. They're running to the max. They're running red line. They're super, super stressed. And I just wish I could get in front of them long enough to say, man, one virtual assistant, one well-trained virtual assistant could take 30 hours of work off your plate every week. That's the power of virtual assistants. Less doing what you aren't good at. You know, that's the first thing. When I hired my first virtual assistant, I made a list of everything I did not like to do. Okay, and this is something that everybody watching should do. Make a list of everything that you're not good at, and then start planning to offload one thing a day off. To create a process and get one thing a day off your plate. Watch what happens to your happiness when you get up in the morning and you only work on the things you love. It's an amazing process. More deal flow. We all want more deals, right? We all want more deal flow because that creates more money. Okay, we're all not all of us are just money hungry. Like you guys see, if you guys see me on Instagram, I know a lot of you guys followed me when Tim announced this. By the way, my Instagram is Real Estate Matt, you know, on Instagram. But you know, you won't see me flashing a lot of like flashy stuff because I went through that phase. I had the Lamborghinis. I had all that. You know, I used to buy a Rolex. It seemed like every week. Always traveling the country, eating at the nicest places. Not that stuff's not cool, because I think it's fun and I love seeing these young guys do that. But that's not the phase that I'm at in my life. I like freedom. I like hanging at my lake house. You know, I like hanging with my friends, my family. I like hanging with my dogs. I got 3 dogs. To me, that's happiness. So if you said yes to any of these questions, then you need to get started with virtual assistants. So some of you guys might be saying, Matt, this is great and all, and I love the idea, but I'd rather just tap into the last 5 years of your experience and save myself the 5-year learning curve. You know, and that's awesome. If you guys want to do that, that's awesome. I hope that I've shared a lot today with you to the point where you can take what I've taught and go run with it. But if you do want to save some time and skip the line, go to the front of the line, then you can buy my entire virtual assistant training system at a low price. This is normally, you know, I sell this for $19.97 every single day on my website. We get orders for this every day. But for Tim's group, we're going to do a special deal. Hang tight with me. So my Virtually Unemployed 2.0 program is 90 lessons. It's 230 pages of text and 70 step-by-step training videos. This course is really long. There's a little screenshot of the first couple just on the right-hand side. Literally, it's the last real estate training system you'll need. So I'm trying to do something amazing that makes it affordable, and I'm pricing this at $997 for Tim's group. Again, this is a limited time. Tyler, I want to jump over. Hang on, guys. I want to jump over to that system and let Tyler pull it up for me. So here, if you guys follow along here, I've just logged into my Virtually Unemployed 2.0. And, you know, just looking at some of the stuff that's in it. Again, all of these are videos. You know, we have, along with the video is the text step-by-step process, but you can see some of the stuff that we teach. You know, simple stuff like how to pay them, you know, how to find them, how to set up your phone numbers, how to have VAs give you weekly reports, marketing funnels, setting up call rails, setting up your call center, polling lists, how to pull vacant lists, houses, a list of vacant houses, absentee owners, apartment buildings, how to stack your organize and stack your list, action steps, running direct mail. All of these are step-by-step processes, videos and text. Skip tracing with Fiverr, getting your Mojo set up, texting, I'm skipping a lot of these. I'm trying to go quick here, guys. RVM, using Craigslist to find deals, listing your stuff on Zillow Marketplace, finding apartment building sellers. All of these are step-by-step things. I don't want to take a bunch of time. There's so many. There's so many. We really didn't leave out a single thing. We used every single system in my company that I use, and if you click show more, it goes to a whole nother list. But everything that I use in my company, do 4,000 plus deals. It's all here. I mean, I could just keep going and going and going and going. And there's another page. Tyler, how do I go back to this? I'm gonna go back to the PowerPoint here. So I didn't want to go through every little thing there. So anyway, if that's something that you guys want to do, again, I sell that for about $2,000. I'm cutting it in half for all the Tim's people. But I also have another option if you guys are interested and want. I have a rapid assistance program. Now, the virtual assistant, virtually unemployed 2.0 that you saw is an amazing training system in itself. But if you want to skip the whole, I don't want to find my own virtual assistant and do it myself, then I also have my own company that I find and train virtual assistants for other people. And how that happened was I simply had students that would go on and say, Matt, your stuff's amazing. It's the best I've ever seen, but I'm lazy and I don't want to go through the process myself. Can I just hire one of your VAs? And I started thinking about it one day and I'm like, I guess I could. I have my own human resources virtual assistant because we have so many in my own company that I started my own. So if you guys want me to find a virtual assistant for you and train them on all the systems that you just saw in my virtually unemployed 2.0 system, I do that. Again, I'm not going to take a ton of time with this, but we find them, we screen them, we test them, and we hire them, and we let you guys have the last final decision, and then we stay on as we stay on as a resource for that virtual assistant for your company. So if your virtual assistant, we hire you a virtual assistant and they need help, they need further training on something, we go back and we jump in there and help them. So 100% satisfaction guaranteed. If we end up hiring somebody, it's not happened yet, but if we hire a VA that doesn't work out, we'll replace them at no cost. So with that, so now the links for both of those programs will be in your show notes. Tyler or somebody sending that link in there. You use code Legacy1000, all caps, for 50% off on your virtually unemployed system. Okay, you gonna throw that in there quick? Hang on, guys. We'll put that code in the show note, and they're gonna have
take
a
a
link.
picture of the screen too, you guys, so that way you have it all right there. Because when we close this thing down, you're not gonna be able to access it. But dude, Larson, one of the questions that I wrote down was like, listen, dude, this is awesome, but what do we always talk about in the mastermind? We always talk about like, I don't want to do the work myself, right? Like some people like that. Some people are doing their 2021 goals right now, and they're like, these are all the things I want to accomplish. And I think we all, at least me, when I got started as a solopreneur, I was like, damn, that's a lot on my plate, right? And so I'd start scaling back the things that I actually wanted to accomplish because it was just too much to put on my plate. So as you're talking through this, I'm like, dude, it's not what else can I put on my plate? What else can I take on? It's who can I hire to put that in place? Who can I hire to hire that person? Like it's the ultimate magician effect when you can find someone else to do the task, find someone else to do the responsibility. And that is what's allowed me to scale up so much, is by leveraging marketing, leveraging systems, and leveraging other people, right? Human capital. And so if you can not only manage other people, but what if you hired somebody to go and manage all those other people? So that way you don't become the HR expert. You don't have to be the HR person, because the last thing I want to do is babysit a bunch of friggin' adults that should know what the hell they're doing, right? And I'm not really good at training people. I'm an idea guy. I'm really good at, hey, here's what I want to implement. Here's what I want to put in place. Are you guys making me the presenter, by the way?
Yeah, we just made you the presenter, Tim.
Can you publish this question for me? Needs to publish the links.
Oh, you're published. So are you sending it to Tim?
Tim, do you see those questions popping up for me?
Let's see what this is.
The links?
Yes.
Just hit make them viewable for everybody.
Da-da-da-da. Copy. Hang on a second. Oh man, it's not copying and pasting. Why don't you email it to me and then I'll post it into the chat box.
Okay. It's fun.
Okay,
but
he
it's
just
like, it's the ultimate magician effect, right? Like before, we're the mule. Hey, here's something I want to accomplish. It's got to go on Tim's plate. Tim's got to go out and do that work. You know, when I realized that there's this human capital piece out there where I can hire other people to do certain tasks and responsibilities, that's what took my trajectory from going like this to going like this. And it allowed me to go and focus on really the higher level tasks and things that were more multiplying and exponential type factors and things that I could go and do, and then hire other people to do the additive type responsibilities, the daily mundane type things, kind of like the posting on Craigslist, that kind of stuff. So like the key here though, like I think the highest value that you're offering is the opportunity to go hire you guys to go and hire somebody else, right? Like that's why I use Scott Hannes for all of my hiring for on-site type people, is because I'm not good at it. First of all, I don't like doing it. I'm not going to spend the time to do it because I don't like doing it. I'm going to delay it. I'm going to procrastinate on it, and then it's not going to get done. And then I'm just going to pile it onto my plate or somebody else who's already on my team, and just won't happen. Or if I do get to the point of actually hiring somebody, I'm not going to train them. I'm not going to go through that whole process just because that's not what I'm really, really good at. And so if I can find somebody else who can do it better and actually do it, and then also do it better than me and pay them a fraction of it, dude, I love that. So I'm a big believer in the scale that you're offering here. And I'm a big believer in utilizing VAs because I think it's the future of everything that we have going on, especially with this whole pandemic thing. I think the people who capitalize on that right now are going to set themselves apart from everybody else over the course of the next 12 to 24 months. So,
oh, for sure. I totally agree, Tim. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, obviously, because you've done all this yourself as well. But for those people that I really feel like I have a rule in my company. If somebody leaves or gets fired, we always replace that person with a virtual assistant. That's how we've ended up getting as many virtual assistants as what we've had. And the big thing, the big thing is the cost of the virtual assistants is so much less, and the productivity is so much better because of the written systems that they're following, that it just makes sense to pile in the virtual assistants. So yes, I mean, I think it's really important to really focus on the magician effect, handing off more work to handing off, I'm really big on getting up every day. Like you just said, all of us have a unique ability. There's 1, 2, or 3 things that we're amazing at, that when we do those things, we're making the most amount of money per hour, right? For you, with what you do in your company, you've got 2 or 3 things. It was funny because that day I don't know if you remember this or not, but we had just gotten off the yacht. We'd been there for a week. We were walking across the pier, and I was like, Tim, what's the main things that you do? And you literally named off 3 things. These are the things I do in my company. These are what my unique ability is. And when I'm doing these 3 things, the company does better and I make more money. And that's what the problem is the more time you spend in your unique ability, the more money you're going to make. But the problem is if you have all these other little things you got to do to make a deal happen in your company, and that other things take up 90% of your time. So you end up only spending a couple hours a week in your unique ability when you should be spending 30, 40 hours a week in your unique ability.
Yeah, man. I think one of the things that you had mentioned earlier, kind of like while you were presenting, first of all, that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all the value. But one of the things that you mentioned earlier was like, hey, make a list of all the stuff that you don't like to do and give that and make that the roles and responsibilities of your VA. And I think that's so profound. But how do you do that, right? And so here's one of the things that I actually did. I want you guys to take a note on this. When I first went out to a mastermind and I first got plugged in and started understanding like how to hire people, my first assistant, I came back from that mastermind, and that next week I cataloged everything I did every 15 minutes all day for an entire week. So from the time I woke up in the morning, I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I did this and I ate breakfast and I got showered and I worked out and I took the dog out and I went to walk properties and I called sellers and I did accounting and I did bookkeeping and I paid bills and I played around on Facebook. Like I logged every single thing I did for whatever that was for every 15 minutes throughout the entire day until I went to bed at 11 o'clock at night. And then I did it again the next day, the next day, the next day. And I had this massive list of everything that I did. And so now I can go back and really analyze it and see where was I spending my time and where was I spending, give me the highest return on my investment. So I went through every single line item and I put either a dollar sign or a zero next to it, meaning did it generate revenue or not? And then I put either next to every line had a smiley face or a frowny face next to it. This is like third grade simple, right?
Yeah.
And I put a smiley face or a frowny face next to it saying, is this something I like to do or something I don't like to do? And I took all those things that were not revenue generating and I tried to eliminate as many of them that I could. And then I took everything else that was maybe revenue generating or had a frowny face and I gave that, and that was the job description for my assistant. Now I hired like an actual in-person assistant, but that's the exact same thing that I'm working on doing right now for my virtual assistants that I'm planning on hiring. So, hey, here's what I need to do on a daily basis, and a lot of the things that consume my time that I shouldn't be doing. I get a lot of people that hit me up and ask me a lot of the same questions, right? Like, how do I get started in real estate? How do I do this? Or, hey, what do I sign up for your course? Whatever. And so like, I need to have somebody essentially reviewing all my messages and all that stuff. So that way they can comb through all those that are repeatable. Like you said, all the repeatable type systems and processes and stuff, or
Yep.
Things that you can do. So yeah, I think, and I'm thinking back to like when I was doing everything as a solopreneur or had one or two employees, like what were those responsibilities? And I think sourcing deals and sourcing money are the two biggest things that you need to be automating, because as we all know, consistency is what we're very inconsistent at. And so if you can staff out consistency and create consistency by putting these systems and people in place and the VAs in place, all of a sudden you're going to have consistent deal flow. The biggest thing that I see with real estate investors specifically is like, oh, I got all these deals in the pipeline. I got 12 deals going down. Great. And they stop marketing and they stop sourcing more private money. And then all of a sudden, all 12 of those deals sell, and then they don't have any deals. And they're like, what the hell happened? Now I'm scrambling for the next 3 months until I find more deals. And then it's feast or famine all the time, right? And so then they do all this marketing and they do this big push and they get all the deal flow and they stop doing it. So like what's important as a real estate investor is you need to be sourcing deals every day. Even when you're in the middle of doing deals, somebody else needs to be marketing for more deals. And this is a perfect opportunity to hire somebody to do that for you. So that way you don't have to be thinking about it. Same thing with sourcing private money, just doing some touches, talk 5-10 messages every single day to people in your network who might be open to lending private money to you. And if you can raise money and if you can find deals, you can do real estate regardless of what's happening with the economy.
Yep.
So I think sourcing out those two things, if you guys are watching, those are the two things. If you don't have those automated, like this is perfect to help you automate that. So you have consistent, not just flashes of success, but consistent success in 2021 as you continue to grow your real estate business or any business.
Yeah, every time we get a deal under contract, like last week or the last few days, I should say, we had 3 houses go under contract and we wholesaled all 3. I never touched a single one of them. I wasn't involved in the marketing, get the leads. My virtual assistant was. I didn't sort the leads. I didn't make the offers. And then when we got them under contract, I didn't find the buyers. All automated. So what we've done is that exact thing. As soon as a house goes under contract.
Talk me through your process a little bit, because there's a couple questions on here that are asking specifically about how are your VAs finding deals? Are they negotiating it? Like how are they sourcing these opportunities? So that way people understand the amount of value that's in these trainings and stuff that are in your virtually unemployed course.
Yeah, so we basically, leads are one of the most important things you can generate, and you got to do that through marketing. And so my virtual assistants run, we do in my company, we do all the free stuff. We find deals on Craigslist, we find deals on Zillow, we find deals, Facebook Marketplace and that. But the real engine is we send out direct mail. we send out, we do cold calling, we do texting. Okay, so our virtual assistants pull a list. We pull a list of potential motivated seller. They send the direct mail. They do the cold calling. They do the texting. Leads come in through a call center, and then the VAs jump in and sort those leads. If there's missing data, they fill in the missing data, and then my lead manager takes those deals and decides, okay, we need to make offers on these. These don't make sense. So then my acquisitions guy, now this is not a virtual assistant, this acquisitions guy then picks up the phone and makes offers on the ones that we make offers on. As soon as we get one under contract, then again, my virtual assistants jump in place and say, okay, we have a house under contract. We've got to list it on Craigslist, list it on all the swap sites, list it on Zillow, list it on, we have multiple sources that we list that property on. On top of it, there's an email that's generated to our buyers list. Every single day, one particular virtual assistant in my office, only a portion of what she has to do is she has to add 40 new cash buyers to my list every single day. So my cash buyer list grows all the time. So of these 3 deals that we just did this week, all 3 were brand new cash buyers that I had never sold to, that my virtual assistants found. But that system keeps the ball moving and processes the whole deal all the way through. A lot of people have a lot of dispositions people on their team. I think dispositions is simply a function of getting a really good deal and having a strong buyers list. We send emails and do our processes and we sell those houses. So I don't really have anybody doing a ton of dispositions, but that's how,
But if they're growing, you can hire a VA to build your buyers list to make it easier for dispositions.
You can hire a VA to build an apartment buyers list. It's like all this stuff is a process. You figure out a way to do something, then you just take that way and put it into a step-by-step process and hand it off to somebody. But the whole time, to kind of go back to your point, full circle, Tim, is the whole time that the guys working on these disposition houses and we're finding buyers for them, this marketing VA over here is still doing marketing. They're still marketing and getting more deals. So the pipeline's never full. So I had a student call us yesterday that was asking us for some help. And I jumped on with him. I don't typically always do that, but Tyler was talking to him, so I jumped on. And the one thing amazed him. He's like, we pulled up my Podio system and shared my screen, and we had like 503 leads right now that we're offering on. Okay, we get 1 out of every 14 deals accepted. So out of those 503 leads, we have 36 deals that we're actively putting under contract or trying to. We're making aggressive offers, but that amazed this particular student. He's like, man, as soon as I get one under contract, I got to go over here and try to get it sold. Like, well, that's the problem. You got to keep it. If you're going to scale, you have to keep the momentum going.
Love it. Corey's got a question. Does your training get updated on a periodic time frame, and how long will it be supported and updated?
Yeah, we update it every time we learn something new. We just added something like Tyler, like 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. As soon as we learn something new, we don't charge for it. We literally update the process and put it right in, and we notify everybody, hey, this particular thing just got updated. We found a better way. Here it is for you for free. And these are systems I use in my company to do deals. So we're keeping them updated for ourselves too.
Leah, one thing that Leah asked, hey, how do you use VAs for sourcing private money? One thing you could do is give them access to like MLS or have them search for cash sales that occurred on the MLS. That's one way that you can do it. One of the things I've realized is, especially like investment properties, and I talk about this in my event, is like a buyer is a seller is a private money lender. It just depends on timing in their life. So if you can source buyers of rental property, they're looking for a residual income, right? If you source sellers of rental property, they bought the property because they were looking for a residual income. And then you can take both of those individuals and turn them into a private money lender because they realize, hey, I don't really want to do the work, but I still want the residual income. And so if you can create buyers of rental properties and sellers of rental properties, you can also source a lot of private money and turn those individuals into passive lenders of yours.
Yeah, and one other thing that I do, and I know you do this too, Tim, because I get your emails, but it's really important, everybody, as you're building these lists, like Tim just said, of buyers and people that want rental property and private money people, they're in an email list. It's important to really connect with your email list and make sure you're emailing them, because you could send an email one day to sell a property. You could send another email one day to find out if somebody has a property they want to sell, and you could send another email to the same list and see if somebody wants to lend on a deal. The big thing is I have my virtual assistants when we scrape catch buyers, we always also get their email. And so that's an important process to really grow your email list so you can communicate.
Yep, love that. I got a question from Len asking, hey, how long do they have to take advantage of the offer? So first, thanks, dude, so much for offering a discount. Super cool of you to do that. So the $997 offer, I've tried to post it a couple times in here. It's not as easy as like Zoom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to email it to all you guys, so that way you guys have it. And then I'll also put it in the follow-up email that comes out from GoToWebinar. I'll make sure that it's plugged into there as well. But you guys will all have it, and I'll send an email now, and then I'll send, you'll get an automated one, I think, from GoToWebinar, whenever they send out theirs. But I'll make sure that it's included in there, probably later on today or tomorrow. So that way you guys have both links in case you either want to, jump on the system to go and hire VAs yourself, or hire Larson's team to hire some VAs for you. And then from there, how long is that good for, Larson?
Tim, I'll let you make that decision. If you want your guys to have it through the weekend or something like that, I'll leave that up to you. I'll let you decide that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. Let's let me think on it. But I think through the weekend would be fair, and that way we can make sure that everybody's got the information, make sure everybody can has some time to pull the trigger on it and get some things, like let the information digest and then get it rolling. So that sounds good.
Why don't we just call it, Tim? It'll be good through midnight on Sunday or something like that.
Yeah, 11:59 Sunday night. How's that sound?
Yep.
Good. Cool. Well, that sounds amazing. Well, I'm trying to cruise through any other questions that might. Would you trust VAs with accounts payable or accounting functions for your property management company?
Yeah, we actually have VAs that work in accounting. Now they don't have checkbook access, but they do accounting functions and they do bookkeeping. We leave the actual writing checks and stuff like that to our in-house. Yeah,
I like that.
But they're I mean, Tim, they are. We hired the first bookkeeper we ever hired that was a VA blew our minds for the price we hired and their capabilities in QuickBooks. It was unbelievable how good they were in QuickBooks.
That's awesome. I love it. Frank asked, where can you buy the book?
The Virtually Unemployed 1.0, which is the
1.0. Yeah.
Now you get that with 2.0. That comes with it.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Buy 2.0, Frank. Price of the Rapid Assistant Program. Essentially, you're a staffing company, right? Like, so you will find, train, hire somebody for anybody who's an entrepreneur or real estate investor, and then hand them off for a flat fee of $1,750, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
is there any ongoing other than what they're paying the VA?
So what we do is so what we do, Tim, is we go direct. We cut out the middleman when it comes to finding virtual assistants. Mm-hmm. My in-house human resourcer, her name's Hazel. She's in the Philippines. She's got a direct source for finding virtual assistants because she's over there. And so a lot of these services, they're actually middleman services, and they upcharge. So what I can get a virtual assistant for say $4 an hour, other people might pay $8 or $9 an hour, $10 an hour for. So what I'm doing built into their hourly fee, typically most of my VAs are around $6 an hour, which is about half of what everybody else charges. But in that, I build in a little buffer where we're only paying that virtual assistant maybe $4 or $5 an hour. We're charging $6. And what that does, and just in full transparency, that allows me to stay on forever with ongoing training if needed and help. If that virtual assistant needs help and somebody reaches out and say, hey, I want to do this with the VA, can you train them to do that? Yep, push them back over to us. We'll train them to do that function, push them back, and you're good to go. And we stay on if the
That's
VA has
awesome.
questions.
I was gonna say, I was like, dude, you're gonna be losing money on this thing for just like a flat fee, and then trying to stay on, or you're only staying on for 90 days. But then that kind of leaves people high and dry. But you being on long term is a huge benefit.
Yep.
To be able to, help essentially again be the HR director, right? Like we all have. There's a lot of people on here that have probably small businesses. They're probably doing $1 million, couple $1 million a year in gross revenue. That they're big enough where they know they got a business, they got proof of concept, they know that they're making some money, but at the same time, it's not big enough to have like a chief human resources director on your team. So this allows you to essentially have that for a fraction of the price, and essentially just pay for it as you're utilizing the person that they're training. So the better that they train, the longer you're going to keep that person on, the more money that you guys make, and it's a win all around. So I like how like it's aligned, like you and the VA and the customer are all aligned, so that way there's productivity and making money, and the better they're trained, the better they're performing, the more money everybody makes, and everybody stays on longer. That's great.
And here, like I mentioned before too, Tim, we're really good at finding really good VAs. We do it right the first time, but there's always something could come up. We had a VA that they just had a bunch of like technical issues, and their computer wasn't working, and their internet was out a lot, and for whatever reason we just stepped in and said, hey, this student bought a virtual assistant. We replaced that virtual assistant at no cost, plugged them right back in, and they were good to go again. So we're always, we're 100% satisfaction guarantee. If we need to step in and make some moves, we will, and it won't cost them anything else.
Yep. I'm responding to Chris. Chris is like, dude, this is an overwhelming course. I don't know how I'd ever get through all the information in a timely manner. And I don't think you use it like a lot of real estate courses, you're like, oh, I got to sit there and I got to look at everything. That's not how I would use this. I would use this like it's Google. I would use it like whatever you need, you search for whatever the training function is that you need, and you look up that one and you utilize that one. So acquisitions, you pull up all the acquisitions one, and you hand that off, to your VA.
Exactly.
Google's got limitless information, but you're not sitting there and going through every single web page. You're going to Google and search exactly what you need, extract that information, implement that information, and then go back to Google whenever you need the next level, right?
Yeah, it's like a business in a box. Like you're not going to use all this stuff all the time. Everything in here is what I use when my company, my 13 virtual assistants are always using this stuff. But like you said, if you need this piece today, that's what you focus on. And I have organized it, Tim, in a chronological order. So, it is easy to follow. If you do want to try to get through it, I've had students that say, I'm going through every single piece, and they follow it just one video after another in chronological order. And at the end, they email me and they're like, hey, this is the most amazing training I've ever seen. And we're pretty proud of it. And again, this isn't theory. This isn't something, we thought this would sound good, so we put it together. All I did was take the stuff we were already doing and package it up and make it look pretty, and make it available for other people.
Love it, man. No, it's good stuff. I'm trying to cruise through any other questions. Is your girl Hazel the one that manages all the other people? Is she full-time for you?
Yes, she's full-time. She's paid really well. And then Amanda that works for me, Amanda's an American assistant. She's also virtual, but she's here. She's been with me for 9 years. Amanda literally does a lot of functions in my company. She's amazing. She also overlooks Hazel then. That's our layers of management.
Yeah, I like that. A couple layers. This is available for people in Canada too, right? Like there's no difference there?
Yeah, I mean, there's, I don't know all of the ins and outs of everything in Canada. I'm sure there are some different, but you could take any of these functions and plug a VA into them, and they will immediately be able to follow the step-by-step processes and do the work.
Cool.
The only thing I'll mention in Canada is, I know in Canada, I don't think you can pull records, like pulling lists and stuff is not the same as in the US. So that part of it would be different.
Yep. No, I love it. Do you use VAs to do refis? I don't know exactly how you use a VA to do the refinance, but if you guys want to.
Well, we actually do use VAs to, so we can use VAs to screen banks. So we've done that in the past where we give them, we pull a list of banks and we say, call every bank and ask them these particular questions, and we find out which banks are, have an appetite for X type of a, loan. We've done that.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea. At least sourcing different pools of capital in order to figure out who you're going to go with. That's a good idea. Update. Yes, it does get updated. I'm just trying to respond to everybody so everybody sees it. Did training apply to single family and multifamily activities? Yeah, yep. You wholesale multifamily too. I know after you came out to Commercial Empire, you plugged in all your systems into multifamily, dude, and you started wholesaling apartment buildings. You made what, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 wholesaling apartments last year? Yeah,
I made $164,000 on one deal by itself.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I love it. So yeah, these can all be. It's the same thing. It's just you're adding some zeros to it. There's a few minor nuances, but that's it. And if you guys haven't been to Commercial Empire, you got to come out to Commercial Empire and then take some of these strategies that are a little bit more granular and automate with Matt's system, like these two together. You can do some pretty remarkable things with it. So
yeah, my quick thing for you, Tim, for everybody on here is I went out to Commercial Empire a year and 4 months ago and made 50 grand while I was there from learning from the stuff Tim said to do at lunch the first day.
Cool. I love it, man. Now it's exciting stuff. You were able to find a deal from your email list, right? And then you packaged it, sent it back out to that same email list. Somebody came in, put under a contract while you were at the event, at the 3-day event, and had a $50,000 receivable essentially that you created, 30 days later. That's awesome. Yep. So good stuff. So here's what we're gonna do, guys. This is Matt's nice enough. The code is Legacy 1000, right? Legacy 1000 is the $1,000 discount. So type in Legacy 1000. When you go to the link, I put it in the questions thing. But if it's not 100% clear, we will email it out to you guys again with the replay of this in just a little bit here. So Larson, dude, appreciate you being here, man. I'm excited. I'm hiring you guys to find some VAs for me.
All right, let's do it
on that side. I'm probably gonna have Carlin or have Burton reach out to you guys to then have you guys train the VAs to then work with them, because I'm not involved in that part. But
you just write the checks.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, what about like personal assistants? Do you guys hire personal assistants too? Like that?
Well, really, Tim, to the best way we use virtual assistants on repeatable processes. So yes, we have hired personal assistants for other people, but if they weren't a process that we were already doing and had something else, we just say, hey, in our training, it teaches you how to write a step-by-step process. You'll have to do that for for that task.
No, it's good, man. I love it. So good stuff, buddy. Well, I appreciate you. We kept you guys an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes. So appreciate you guys spending some time with us. Have an amazing weekend. And if I don't talk to you guys beforehand, have an amazing holiday. And 2021 is going to be a big year. I know a lot of people are real excited about it. So.
All right. Well, hey, Tim, again, thank you so much for having me. You had an amazing group on here. I was watching the numbers. It was awesome. So I'm glad that I could hopefully share some value.
You got it, brother. Well, thank you for being here, man. We'll talk soon. I'll see you guys.
All right. We'll see you.